Hello Starseeds, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today I want to talk about actually something that a lot of people have asked me about recently. It's how the do you raise your vibration? Because everyone says that all the time and it seems to be the solution to everything, and we know it's really important, but like, how do you actually do it? What are the steps? Let's make it really simple because we've talked about this in quite a few videos, but let's lay out the steps exactly for the process that you can take starting today to actually raise your vibration for good. So before we jump in, I just want to remind you to please like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it so that others can find this information. It's so important to support our brother and sister starseeds. And then also subscribe here for new videos every single week, every Sunday, Wednesday. Also a quick reminder that there's now a membership group open, a VIP Starseed Academy membership group. It's so incredible and it's growing all the time. And the stuff that we get to do together and experience together, like these incredible astral experiences, there's so much healing going on, there's so many events, ceremonies, like all of this stuff happening all the time. So do check that out if you're interested. If you click on the membership link, it'll open up and give you a description of all of the things that are going on inside that group. You'd probably really enjoy it, as well as there are different services that you can book with me one-on-one. So all of the readings are one-on-one live readings now over Zoom. There's also healing services and counseling services. So please make sure that if you're resonating with my energy and with this community, that you listen to that. You know, that's your energy telling you something. So look into some of these things that are offered and see how much this can actually help you, service you, get you to the next level, all those things. Okay, so let's talk about how the do you raise your vibration? The very first thing that I want to talk about is the removal. So this has to happen before you can start putting a bunch of new stuff into your system. You need to remove the stuff that is no longer serving you. That is the very first step. Of course, we're talking about shadow work here. And the best way to do shadow work is to go backwards slowly. So what does that mean? It means start with your close past, like, you know, the last few years, and then work your way backwards until you're at your childhood. And that is a pivotal time to heal. Once you get through this lifetime, then you can actually move into other lifetimes, and that will naturally occur for you. I always say, once you heal your childhood, that opens the door to past life healing in a big way. So start at your immediate past and work your way backwards. What you're doing is you're looking for unresolved feelings, issues, hurt, pain, and that could go either way. That could be you hurting someone or someone hurting you. And what you're doing is you are releasing, healing, and forgiving. So when something needs to be released and it's no longer aligned with your raising frequency as you're doing this kind of work, and if you're here watching the videos on this channel, you are 100% already raising your frequency and doing soul work. So this is going to be really powerful for you to remove the stuff that's holding you back from going into your next level. And so the things that need to be released are the things that feel heavy. So what is causing you stress, anxiety, guilt, shame? What makes you feel jealous? What makes you feel like overly competitive? What makes you feel like you can't trust people? Like use your emotions as indicators. Any of the things that are like lower on that scale of frequency, which I'll probably pop up because I always do, because we're gonna get this. Anything on the lower scale of that frequency, what is making you feel those things? So are they in your system? If they are, locate where they're coming from. Are you feeling it in your heart, in your stomach? Like, where is it coming from? When you know where it's coming from in your body, you can place your hands over it and tune into it. Tuning into it is sitting quietly in silence and just feeling the feeling. Allow it to magnify. when you ignore these kinds of feelings, they stick around. They don't go anywhere. That's not releasing. That's ignoring and staying stuck, right? You need to actually tune into them and allow them to get bigger so that you can figure out where they're coming from. So for instance, if I had the heart chakra is a lot of sadness usually, but I was always suffering with anxiety, and that was in my solar plexus at the very top of my stomach. So I could place my hands over that area in my body and tune in and breathe and be like, okay, what am I feeling? Okay, anxiety. Okay, how is this feeling? Really focus on it. Make it bigger. Like, feel it as fully as possible. And in doing so, you're almost like taking it out of yourself and opening it up like a book. Like, what's in here? What's going on in here? And you can always ask your higher self and your guides or source to help you with this process. I mean, never feel like you have to do anything on your own. But by tuning in, magnifying it, opening it up, looking at it like a book, you're going to see what's in there. And it's going to be like reading what is making you anxious. This is pivotal. This is so important for knowing what it is that needs the healing. What memories come up? What feelings come up? What thoughts come up? Like, really listen to what you're saying in your mind. So for me, if it was the anxiety and I really listened and I pulled it out, what would I find? I don't feel safe. Okay, well, why don't you feel safe? Well, I never really had a home. I never really had this. And okay, let's go with it. Follow the trail of thoughts and you will arrive at the origination point of the pain. I do have a video called Shadow Work, which is probably a really much more detailed description on how to do this. But I think you get the idea. Locate the uncomfortable feeling. And it doesn't have to be the anxiety that I'm describing. It could be sadness. It could be fear. It could be depression. It could be addiction. It could be guilt, shame, so many things. But anything on that scale that is below feeling good and happy, right? I mean, that's what we want to clear out. So this is the removal. So we're clearing things out. Now, in order to release something, you have to feel it fully. Feel your feelings, then return to peace. That's how it goes. You feel your feelings, then you return to peace. So that is the tuning in, making it bigger, feeling it fully. Like, make it as big as possible. And that's scary. I know that is, because we don't want to feel these uncomfortable things. And we've probably been ignoring them for a very long time. And here I am asking you to just tune in on it and magnify it. But it's a part of the process. Not only then do you feel your feelings and release them, but you find the origination point as well. Once you find the origination point and you're allowing yourself to feel what's coming up, that is the healing. That's the healing right there. The release is the healing. But what's often needed on top of the release and the healing is some forgiveness, compassion, whether that be to yourself or to someone who's wronged you or hurt you, to arrive at a space of forgiveness for them. That is truly how to clear this from your system once and for all, dissolve any cords or karmic ties with that person. The only way that you can dissolve karma with someone is through true forgiveness and closure. Otherwise, it's going to just keep repeating itself, but you don't want that. So, how can you arrive at forgiveness for someone that hurt you? Sometimes it's bad too, right? Or how do you arrive at forgiveness for yourself if you've done something really terrible? You know, you weren't thinking and it resulted in somebody really being hurt. How do you forgive yourself for that? The only real way is to have compassion for yourself or the other person, to try to put yourself in the shoes of them or you at that time. Because the truth of the matter is that everyone is doing the best with what they have at any given moment. So even if somebody hurt you badly, that was all they had to give at that moment. They couldn't do better because they hadn't grown. People can only meet you as far as they've come themselves. So, I mean, if somebody intentionally did something to you, you have all of my love and support and compassion. And so many of us have been there, intentionally abused or intentionally hurt. How do you then arrive at forgiveness when the person meant to do it? The same rule applies. They were not advanced enough to understand what they were doing. They were so wrapped up in their own pain, usually their own trauma, that they were acting out, repeating cycles, repeating patterns. This happens within families, within individuals. Hurt people. And so it's not that you have to forgive the act that happened to you, but you can forgive the soul within by understanding and having compassion for the fact that they were so blinded by their own pain that all they could do was be in reactive mode. Like, they're not self-aware at all at that point. They're in a loop. This reminds me of earthbound spirits or ghosts. They get caught in a loop. They get caught in a loop of that hurts, like pain, trauma. I'm going to react. That hurts. I'm going to react. And it's just this repeating loop. It's crazy. Literally the definition of insanity, just continuing to do the same thing over and over. They're not in their right mind. They're not connected in with their soul and their wisdom. And this really, it happens way too often. And another way that you can work on forgiveness is by realizing that big things that happen in our lives, like these kinds of big hurts, pain, trauma, whatever it is that you're working through, it's almost always a part of your soul contract, which is another hard pill to swallow, right? And I do have a video on soul contracts you can check out. But it's true. You chose to experience something in that frequency. Maybe you didn't specifically say exactly what it was going to be, but you knew the frequency, the energy behind the act that you needed to experience to grow from, right? So this could be because it was going to wake you up, which, a lot of us, dark nights of the soul are what wake us up. Hard times are what wake us up. Extreme, like religious environments will wake us up to spirituality, stuff like that. Or it could be karmic stuff being resolved. So maybe you hurt the person in another lifetime, and now you need to understand what it's like to be on the other side of that fence. That happens a lot too. Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make them a bad person either though. These are souls trying to work through very deep issues that have been going on for thousands of incarnations and hundreds of lifetimes. And there's no simple answer. Finding your way through shadow work is the dark night of the soul, and probably the hardest thing that you'll go through. Now, I've had more than one dark night of the soul because I'm so lucky. But truly I am lucky, even though I said that as a joke, because in saying that, I realized, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be so advanced and have grown so much to this level of my gifts, my self-awareness, my connection with the higher frequencies, realms, beings, my connection to myself, and truly walking towards my highest timeline in a big way right now. So it's all a blessing. Every lesson is a blessing. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. All of those cliche things are super true. But if you need help working through shadow work, releasing, healing, forgiving, all the stuff that I just described, there's lots of free content here on YouTube, such as the shadow work video, or you can join the membership, or you can request to work with me personally. My website link is always in the description below the actual description of the video. You'll always see the links below. Just check out my website. Something might jump out at you. There's a ton of healing services there, which are perfect for someone going through a dark night of the soul, as well as counseling services. I say all of this because I want you to know that you're not alone. I've been there personally, and I am very skilled at assisting people and supporting people through that process now. Okay, the next thing. Now that we've removed all the stuff that no longer serves us, it's time to fill ourselves up with light, right? Because when you remove darkness and heaviness, empty spaces are left behind. And you want to fill those up with white light. You don't want to leave space for anything else. You want to fill everything up with white light. So how do you do that? The biggest way is connection. Connecting to source. And whatever you prefer to call source, I understand that we all have a different word. The universe, God, source, the Great Spirit, or I encourage you to choose a personal name, because that is a very sentient being, which means it's an aware being. This Great Spirit, this creator, your parent, or you can think of them as a grandfather spirit, a grandmother spirit, a shaman. It's a real being. It's not just a field of potential. There's a loving being, like unconditionally loving being within these titles of source, universe, whatever. God, what do other people call God? We'd be here forever. Allah. I mean, there's so many. They're all just words pointing to the same thing. It doesn't really matter what you call it. What matters is your connection to it. I do recommend creating a personal relationship with that Great Spirit. And in order to do that, it usually helps to have a name. So I call the Great Spirit Baba. That works for me. That can mean grandfather or grandmother. And depending on what I need in the moment, that's what comes through, either the feminine grandmother or the masculine grandfather. And sometimes I need one or the other. So think of a name that works for you, or a nickname or something loving, like a loving, endearing term. Use that to connect. So connecting is connecting your crown chakra all the way up to source, to white light. Setting the intention to reconnect with your source is like plugging back into your batteries, plugging back into home, refueling. Life force is what is animating this human body. The soul, right, is the life force. That's the magic, that's the batteries in the doll. This, without the life force, would be an empty shell and would very soon deteriorate. As soon as the soul leaves, the body immediately starts to break down, because it's just organic matter. It's magic that we have, like, insert a soul into this organic matter and it comes to life like a doll. Like, it's crazy to even like express myself through that right now is just wild. So you are the soul within, and you are made of life force. You are made of that Great Spirit, that source, that life force, all these terms. You're made of it. When you're feeling drained, it's because you haven't been reconnecting, plugging back in, right? So it's very, very important to connect. That is how you fill yourself up with light. The other thing I have written down here is silence. Yes, I will always recommend meditation. It's very healing, but it's also very eye-opening and creates a lot of expansion. 15 minutes, every day if you can, and if not, 3 times a week, 15 minutes. It doesn't take much to change your life. Like 15 minutes 3 times a week is nothing, and it will literally change your life. I guarantee that. There's no way that you connecting to source 3 times a week for 15 minutes would not drastically change you, your life, and your trajectory and the path that you're on. It's in your hands to do this. It's up to you. You have to take the action if you want the change. Nobody can do it for you. A lot of people kind of just sit around and wait for things to happen with no divine action behind it. You can't manifest without divine action. There is gonna be action needed always. We're in a 3D realm, physical realm. Action will always be needed here. I know that you're used to the higher realms where you can just think of something and have it, but here you do need to incorporate a little bit of divine aligned action. So that intention to connect with source a little bit, even just that little 3 times a week, is the action. It's going to make such a difference for you. That is going to fill you up with light. The meditation, the connection, the silence. I also had written down talking with God or talking with source. And that's because meditation doesn't have to be just sitting in silence. You can have a conversation. I actually find that better sometimes. If I try to sit in silence, I get the monkey mind. I get the racing thoughts. Not every day is good for me for silence. Like if I've got too much on the go, it's actually going to be much more effective for me to sit and have a conversation with Baba, right? So think about where you're at in the day. Can you do silence? If you can't, meditation doesn't have to be silent. It is literally just about the connection and you having a heartfelt conversation with your creator. Oh my God, that's the stuff that creates these kinds of transformations. Please do. Another great way to fill yourself up with light is to get some energy healing done. I know you've probably heard about things like, energy healing, Reiki healing. I can't think of any of them right now. There's touch of hand. There are so many different kinds of healings. What resonates for you? Like, what's calling out to you? What do you want to try? Treat yourself. Book something in. You deserve that. Sometimes even just getting like a massage can really, like pampering ourselves in that way can really help. But if you're trying to fill yourself up with light, energy healing's where it's at. They're literally putting light into you. There are a lot of people that offer Reiki and these different kinds of energy healing services. And then there are people like me that have created their own brand of healing. So I do Galactic healings. I am a trained Reiki master. Like I have like all 3 levels just below the teacher. However, and that was an amazing base for me to jump off of, like a foundation to grow from. And then I just knew that it had to be more personal, more specific, more for the Starseed Collective. And I changed it all up over time through practicing on people, right? So find a healer that you resonate with and get a healing session. Someone local, something that stands out, something that, pops up like a sign maybe on your news feed or whatever. Do it. Don't wait. And you know what? Energy healing can help in every single stage because it can also help with the removal too. So if you're stuck on any of these, like if you're stuck in the first stage, the shadow work, the dark night of the soul, and the removing of all that density, get it then too. I got Reiki all the time. I actually took Reiki courses because getting an attunement was so powerful, and learned how to do it. All of that helped me through a lot of my dark times. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. You shouldn't. There's an entire community of starseeds, lightworkers, and spiritual awakened souls here on this earth, and their mission is to help you get to your mission. We're all helping each other, like a spider web or a checkerboard of people coming together to create a bigger picture and make mass impact. So energy healings, and then the last thing in this one about filling yourself with light was light language. I've really been into light language lately. It's been coming through for me personally, like to speak it and sing it so much with my clients and everything. So research it, look into it, get into that frequency. It's super high vibe. Start watching it, start looking it up, listening to it. What does it spark for you? What kind of soul memories? What does it bring out? Learn about it and eventually try it. It doesn't hurt to try. Sit in meditation and see what comes through. Everyone can speak light language. It is also known as soul language. It's the language of souls. I actually prefer that term. Everyone says light language though, so I use that because then people know what I'm talking about. But I really like soul language because we are all just souls. And this is the universal language of all souls in a way, even though there's different dialects where it sounds different depending on what soul it comes from. However, that's just like almost like a individual aspect of the same language, I think. Yeah, light language is beautiful. I feel like I should do another video on light language. I think I've done one before, but because I've been working with it so much lately and I just have this really deep understanding of it, you'll see that coming soon. Okay, so after you fill yourself up with light, it's time to maintain. So you want to maintain all of the work that you've done. It's very easy to fall backwards if you're not on your game with this. So how do you maintain? The key word here is consumption. What are you consuming? And where does it fall on the scale of frequency? Really simplify it. What are you consuming in every way? Relationships, that's energy consumption, the people that you spend time with. Obviously food and drink, alcohol, drugs maybe, entertainment, pornography, music, anything that you're consuming, be really honest with yourself about the specifics. Because you can't just blanket it and say, alcohol is bad for everyone. You can't do that, but you can individually for yourself feel it out. You have a glass of wine or a beer or something. How do you feel on the scale? Did you go up or down? Really pay attention. And you can also research. A lot of these things have already been measured in terms of frequency. And then you can place them on the scale yourself and see, okay, this is below where I want to feel. Why would I put that in my system? For me, one of the big realizations was meat, and becoming a vegetarian. And that's not to say that all meat is bad. That's to say that the way meat is created, the factory farming is what I'm referring to. It's inhumane, it's barbaric, it's torture. That energy's inside the food, and then you put that in you. Be careful where you get your food from. And if you can't, because you're out at a restaurant or whatever, bless your food. You don't have to make it showy, if you're shy. You can literally just hover your hand over it for a sec. You can actually do it with your eyes. You don't even have to use your hand. I learned through Reiki courses that you can heal with your gaze. How do you do that? You look at the food lovingly and you say, thank you. I fill you with love. And then you're safe to consume it. And you've just raised the frequency. So what are you consuming? And honestly, be honest with yourself. Where does it vibrate at? What's the measurement? What's the frequency? And if it's not love or these high vibes that you just work so hard to fill yourself up with, then you know that you're going to start heading down again, right? Now, that isn't to say that you have to be perfect, because we are human and we're in a human world and we are here to experience the human experience, right? So to be honest, when I'm feeling ungrounded, I've been working too high up in these higher dimensions and I'm not feeling very human and I'm feeling really ungrounded. I'm just feeling, outside of my power, not here in this present moment in my power. I will do things like order takeout, watch reality TV, or binge some Netflix, because I'm aware of where my frequency is at and I know that I need to be grounded. And my intention behind the act is to help myself, right? So, you can play with it too, but keep your eye on obsessive behavior, addictive behavior, relying on things, that kind of stuff, and really clean up your life, including your relationships. Okay, so after we've done the removal, we filled ourselves with light, then we maintain by tuning into everything and checking where it's at before we consume it. The last step is the most beautiful step. It's expansion. That's those soul nudges. Check out the soul nudge video. That's such a good one to describe this. So soul nudges are when you're getting nudged off the path or timeline that you're on onto your highest timeline, onto something much more aligned for you. Those nudges are going to come in a lot of ways, and you need to be self-aware and pay attention. They're going to come up as problems and things falling apart, basically, so that as a sign that this isn't for you anymore. Relationships can fall apart, your house can fall apart, you can lose your job, you can lose all kinds of money. It's based around things breaking down and loss, and then being nudged in another direction. And the longer you take to recognize the soul nudge, the more intense it gets, right? And all of a sudden it's like a soul shove, wake up. This is not for you. That happened to me with my work, with my job, and being completely shoved after knowing for a long time, right? We always do this. We know it happened in relationships, everything. Eventually you'll just get shoved right out into a new reality. And thank goodness, because sometimes we need a good shove. But this is where you need to get brave and courageous and actually make changes in your life. You know what changes you need to make. And what you can do to help yourself realize these is write down the main aspects of your life, journal it or make a list, and really be honest with yourself. Nobody's going to read it. You can burn it, whatever. Be honest with yourself about how happy you are. Like, so in your relationship, are you actually super happy? Is this your, like, I mean, if you believe in things like soulmates or twin flames, do you have that feeling? Or if, like me, you really believe in things like the highest frequency of true love, is it supporting you with that frequency? Is it lifting you up or bringing you down? Are you hanging on because you see potential and you're just holding on to the hope of this person growing, but it's not really realistic? Like, be super honest with yourself. Or in your job, is this truly what your soul wants to be doing? Spending their precious time while here on earth, this one lifetime that you have with this really important earth mission. Are you spending your time wisely? Write that down. And if not, what is your soul calling for? We all have a calling. What is yours asking you to do? You may not know the specifics, but you might be able to feel something. Like, oh, I don't know exactly, but I know it's not this. And I know I want to help people. How can I do that? That's it. I literally got goosebumps when I said that. That's the energy. Get into that space. Follow those thoughts through. Be brave. Be courageous. When you take one step towards your dream life, your highest timeline, the universe will rush to meet you there with so much support, synchronicities, magic. It just takes one step. But we think we have to have the whole friggin' thing planned out. You don't. You want to start your own business? Well, what's one small thing that you can do? Just do that one little thing and then just breathe for a sec and see what happens. There's going to be encouragement, synchronicities, signs, miracles. Always. When you start stepping towards your highest path and start taking these baby steps, you will get all the encouragement. So I really hope that this video helped you. Please let me know in the comments what you think. What stage are you in? Are you in the removal, the filling yourself up with light, the maintaining, or the expansion? Or have you cycled around a few times? That happens. Like I said, I've had a few dark nights of the soul and then gone fully through the cycle and then back down again. I mean, we are cyclical beings. It's going to happen. But each time you come up to expansion, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's so beautiful. So how the fuck do you raise your vibration? That's how, right there. So please comment in the section down below what stage you're at. Do you need some help or advice? This community is super supportive. Feel free to ask questions. People will jump in. And also remember that the membership is open now for new members, and it's been such a high vibe space to be. So many exciting things going on literally all the time. It's so amazing. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, and I'm so grateful for you being on this channel and subscribing. Please, if you liked this video, can you click like for me so that I know? And comment, let me know. It's very encouraging to see that from you guys, and I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Check out the links below to work with me. And before you go, always remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within. Because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you, beautiful starseed. Have a good day. Bye.